Hello, welcome to lesson number 2 in our ongoing series of lessons on composition, starting in the medieval era, where we take a few principles that the composers used in the medieval era and we are going to apply it to our own writing. At the conclusion of this lesson today, you will actually be writing your first melodies. So let's jump right into it. As a basic overview, just know that this lesson will introduce the student to approaching the tonic in the Dorian mode. There are 3 ways of approaching the tonic: a weak way, a stronger way, and a strongest way. This is not to say that the weak method is wrong or the strongest method is more right. It isn't about right or wrong. This is all about learning how to end a musical phrase. This is called a cadence, and this lesson highlights these 3 basic approaches. Whichever one you prefer is up to you when you compose. The most dramatic and final way to end a phrase or a song is to use the strongest cadence. The least dramatic and the least final way to end a phrase or a song is to use the weakest cadence. The basic objective of this lesson is that at the end of this lesson, the student should understand a little bit more about the art of approaching the tonic of the Dorian mode and be able to demonstrate this understanding via written classroom assignments. There will be 3 activities associated with this lesson. The first individual activity is, as before, the student will observe the video of the lesson prior to attending the class and be familiar with the material in it. The second individual activity will be the student during the week doing a brief analysis of pre-written melodies that are included in a worksheet that demonstrate the principle of approaching the tonic of the Dorian mode. These melodies are included in the video lecture as well as in the downloadable info sheet, also included in this lesson plan. The third activity is a classroom activity. This is where the student shows up and with his peers and with the help of the teacher and with the mentorship of the teacher will complete the written assignment portion of this lesson in the classroom. We're flipping the classroom around. The student will actually do the homework in class and think about and listen to the video lectures at home prior to the class. He will come to class prepared to work. All right, let's get to it. Approaching the tonic of the Dorian mode. It's always a strong ending to a phrase or to a song when you end that phrase or song on the tonic. Well, there's 3 ways basically of ending a song or a phrase. The weakest method is to approach the tonic from any note of the Dorian mode except the dominant, which is A, C, or E, the 2 notes above and below the tonic. The first example is an example of a very weak cadence. The last note of the phrase is a D. The phrase has come to rest. But the note preceding the D is a G. It's not a dominant. It's not the note above or below the D. It just goes from a G to a D. It's okay, but nothing special. Take a look, though, at a stronger move. Look at the next example. Here we have the same first 3 notes. And then we have a dominant, an A, going to the D. That's acceptable. That's a stronger move. The next 2 examples show us approaching the D from a note above, E, or a note below, C. Both of these are examples of a stronger musical move, a stronger cadence. The next 2 examples show again a strong move, going from C to a D. And the very next example here, though, is kind of cool. It shows the 2 previous notes. They're quarter notes. The first quarter note is the note above D. The next quarter note is the note below D, ending up on D. So we go from an E to a C, and then to a D. That's a pretty strong move. Now, the strongest move, however, is to approach the tonic from a half step below the D. In other words, you approach D from a C sharp. This is particularly effective at the very end of a phrase of a tune or at the very end of a tune itself. The following examples all show moving into the tonic from a C sharp. Take a look. Take a look at the next 2 examples again, going from a C sharp to a D, going to the low D from the C sharp below it, going to a higher D from a C sharp below it. The very last example, well, this is, as before in the stronger move, we see the note above D, which is an E, followed by a C sharp, which is the note a half step below the D, into the D. This is a very, very strong move. Very strong cadence. Now, we've been talking about this thing called a cadence. Here's the definition. The word cadence comes from the Latin word cadentia, which means a falling, or a melodic or harmonic configuration that creates a sense of repose or resolution, finality or pause. Fancy words. It just means cadence is how you shut down a phrase, a musical phrase. Think of a cadence as being the equivalent of a comma, a semicolon, or a period in a sentence in grammar. When there's a comma in a sentence, the sentence pauses but then continues. When there's a semicolon, it comes to a halt, but then it picks up again and then finishes. When there's a period at the end of a sentence, it is the end. Done. Fine. The end. The weakest cadence is like a comma. We have a stronger cadence, kind of like a semicolon or a dash maybe. And then we have a period, or maybe perhaps an exclamation point. Might be a better term for it. The strongest cadence of all. Weak, stronger, strongest. All right, let's listen to some examples of what we've been talking about. The first example is the weak cadence that you see in your worksheet. Have a listen. Now, let's listen to the next 5 phrases in your worksheet demonstrating a stronger cadence. Again, coming from the dominant, or the note above, or the note below. Here they are, proceeding in order as you've seen them in this lesson. All right, now here are the 4 examples of the strongest cadence, moving from a C sharp to a D. All right, there you have it. We have 3 cadences that we use to get to the tonic of the Dorian mode. A weak one, a stronger one, and a strongest one. The weak one is where you come to the tonic note by any other note in the scale except for C, E, or A. We have a stronger move where we come at the tonic from a dominant A, or the note below D, a C, or the note above D, which is an E. And then we have the strongest cadential move, which is a C sharp to the D. All right, the next lesson, we are going to deal with the dominant. There's cadential moves that we can pull on the dominant too. So we're going to look at that one, and then we're going to combine these two in the lesson after that one, where we actually start to write complete little musical compositions. Have a great day. Until then, Mr. G out.